Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, August 18th. I'm Hurricane Hal with your tropical weather update. A lot going on in the tropics today. Let's talk about this on the big screen. Y'all, you're going to really be interested in this. I'm just going to turn the camera angle here. The National Hurricane Center 7-day tropical weather outlook is lit up like a Christmas tree this morning, y'all. Check this out. We have 4 areas of possible tropical development. The 2 in the west have a 30% chance of development. The 2 in the east have a 40 and a 70% chance of development. Y'all, things are getting really busy out there in the tropics. We're going to look especially at these areas to the west. Now, when I talk about the chance of tropical development, and, what is the likeliness of when I say 30% or 70% chance? That's really the chance that a tropical cyclone will form. So let's talk about this. A tropical cyclone is an area of low pressure that has a warm core. It gets its fuel from warm ocean water, and it's not associated with a front or a mix of air masses or anything like that. It's its own entity out there. Another characteristic that's very important is that it has a closed circulation around a well-defined center. And let's look at what's going to happen in the Western Gulf when we get to early next week. We're going to see that this area out there close to Texas is going to be trying to get its act together and going to try to become a tropical cyclone. Look at this. This is the Euro model for next Tuesday morning around 10 a.m. And you can see this low pressure area out here in the Western Gulf. And these are isobars here, lines of equal pressure. You can see it's trying to get a closed circulation around a well-defined center. You can see the wind barbs there, gusty wind from the east there along the central Texas coast. That's what's forecast for early next week. Now, once it has a closed circulation around a well-defined center, it becomes a tropical depression. When it intensifies up to winds exceeding 39 miles an hour, it would become a tropical storm and get a name. And then if winds were to exceed on any of these systems above 74 miles an hour, it would become a hurricane. In this case, it's going to be a close call to see if it can become a named storm. That would be a closed circulation with winds exceeding 39 miles an hour. Whether that happens or not, we can expect some gusty winds here along the central Texas coast. And most importantly, we can expect some beneficial rain. So look at this. I'm going to talk about the rain forecast here. We're looking at, in general, you can see the rain legend over here. We see some purples over in Florida. In general, maybe 2 to 3 inches of rain in Florida. And a pretty sharp gradient there along the northern Gulf Coast. Once we get into Texas, the dark blues here are at least a 1/2 inch of rain. We could see a 1/2 inch of rain in places like Beaumont, Port Arthur, down through Houston, and even inland a little bit. Right along the coast, we could possibly see more than that. This is a NOAA QPF, or quantitative precipitation forecast. There's a pretty sharp gradient there, though. Look how it drops off pretty quickly when we get north of Houston and out by, say, Waco and Austin. Y'all, we really need the rain in Louisiana and Texas. It's been incredibly dry, and so this actually may be more beneficial and cause more good than harm if this happens early next week. And it's looking more likely that whether or not we get a named storm, it looks like we'll see some gusty winds, and it looks like we will see some rain moving in, which is great news because this is the latest version of the U.S. Drought Monitor that came out yesterday. And this is pretty serious, where you see the red color there, that's extreme drought. The red color is extreme drought. This came out yesterday, and now 16% of Texas and 15% of Louisiana is under extreme drought, including much of southeast Texas, Beaumont, Port Arthur, Metro Houston, Galveston, all the way down through Matagorda Bay, all in extreme drought right now. We desperately need the rain. I live here in Galveston, right up there in Galveston Island. It doesn't seem like it's rained in weeks. We've just had sunny, high pressure days, a lot of dry weather, and we really need the rain. So this system coming in with possibly even a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of rain, anything right now, will be very helpful in Texas. Well, let's go to the eastern North Pacific. We were talking about Hurricane Hilary yesterday. As advertised, it strengthened into a Category 4 hurricane with max winds of 145 miles an hour. This is a very formidable storm in the eastern Pacific right now. It's forecast to actually track to the north, and some of the big impacts will be from rainfall. Look at this. This is rainfall forecast. A lot of this rain would move in later Sunday into Monday, maybe early Tuesday. But look at the legend over here. The yellows on this map are 4 to 6 inches of rain. That's right. Widespread 4 to 6 inches of rain in a lot of California, parts of Nevada, and even down through Baja California, with some pockets seeing 6 to 10 inches of rain locally. Y'all, the soils are pretty thin out there. You get several inches of rain in a short amount of time, you're going to get some flash flooding and you're going to get some mudslides. For that reason, NOAA came out with the flash flood risk forecast here. Look at this. This is a risk of flash flooding getting into early next week. Where we see the reds there, we see a moderate chance of flash flooding in places like Yuma, Las Vegas, even San Diego. Part of the urban coastline there is in the moderate risk of flash flooding. And we see east of the big cities in the desert, places like Palm Springs, actually have a high chance, at least 70% chance of flash flooding early next week. Y'all, this is going to be a big story. And again, Hillary probably striking Baja California as either a strong tropical storm or a hurricane. But the big story, I think, will be the flooding in Baja California through the desert Southwest and possibly even along the coast there in California early next week. Let's talk about the wind speeds with Hillary. Again, this is where Hillary is right now. It's forecast to track kind of to the north-northwest. But look at this. This is a probability of tropical storm force winds exceeding 39 miles an hour. With that, you could see some tree falls, branches down, power outages, maybe even some slight damage to homes. And look at that, where you see yellow, more than a 30% chance of tropical storm force winds. That's right. In the U.S., we could see some tropical storm force winds in Southern California from this for sure. In Baja California, it's looking more and more likely that they're going to see tropical storm force winds. Let's look at finally the most likely arrival time of tropical storm force winds. Again, this is getting into Sunday evening. That's Sunday at 8 p.m., kind of crossing the Mexico-U.S. border. Again, the big picture, I think, is going to be the rainfall and the flooding, but we could also see some wind impacts as well. Y'all, we're moving into the most active time of hurricane season. Every year, Colorado State University rings a bell on August 20th. Dr. Bill Gray started that to welcome, or not to welcome, really to mark the arrival of the busiest time of hurricane season. This year, August 20th falls on a Sunday, so Colorado State is ringing the bell tomorrow morning. That's Saturday, August 19th. We'll be ringing the bell out here on Galveston Beach to mark the arrival of the busiest time of hurricane season. You can join us around 7:30 Central tomorrow. I'll be ringing the bell in Galveston. We'll be talking about moving into the most active time of hurricane season and what we can expect through really the next 4 to 6 weeks when we're going to see the most activity, especially in the Atlantic Basin. We'll talk about what this may mean for impacts from Texas to Florida all the way up through the Carolinas. Everyone, have a great Friday. This is Hurricane Hal. Again, we're watching an area in 4 areas in the Atlantic. Could bring some heavy, possibly beneficial rains to the Western Gulf early next week. And then, of course, watching Hurricane Hillary and potential flash flooding in the desert Southwest early next week. Everyone have a great Friday. This is Hurricane Hal signing off from Galveston Island.